Hey veterans, don't miss out on this huge benefit that can help you take the path towards homeownership. I'm here with Scott Saylor. He's a veteran himself. Stay tuned for more.
I keep it real, I keep it real, I keep it real, just keep it real.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Sam Hartman, as always, keeping it real estate here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And in the spirit of Veterans Day, I am here with one of our local veteran lenders, Scott Saylor. Scott, how are you doing today?
Wonderful, man. Thank you for having me, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me. And with Veterans Day, you know, we're filming this on the election day, so happy election day. We won't get into that.
God forbid, right?
But Veterans Day is right around the corner. This will probably, we'll probably get this released on Veterans Day. And I'm not a veteran, always a huge supporter of those who have served, grateful for what they've served and given and done for our country.
Right.
So I thank you for your service as well. Why don't you share a little bit about what your experience was with serving?
Oh man, how far back?
Whatever it's gonna have for the camera, I suppose.
So that's a really good question. So I'm a Northside guy. I went to Northside High School here.
Okay.
Had, you know, a checkered
pass.
a checkered youth, right? I always tell people the judge thought it'd be a wonderful idea for me to go to the military. So in a joking spirit, I say that, but part of it's true. I mean, in my entire life, where there has been structure, I have excelled. Where there's too much autonomy is where I probably get myself into trouble. And fortunately for me, right out of school, right into the military was, hey, here's what you wake up and do. Here's the activities. Just give me my punch list and that task list, and I do very well with that.
Yeah.
When I have too much time, idle hands type stuff, that's when I get in trouble. So no, I had a 4-year career in the military. I was in the United States Navy.
Okay.
I was on an aircraft carrier station. I first went to they call it Great Mistakes up in Chicago. Up in the Great Lakes areas where we went to boot camp. You spent about 8 weeks up there. About 8 weeks, I think it is. From there, I went to Meridian, Mississippi, where I went to school for, I think it was 16 weeks, something along those lines. From there, you get to choose your duty station based on your class, where you performed in your class. So I had pretty good pick of the litter there. So I picked California, as far away as I could get from Indiana, right? So
Here you are back.
Yeah.
Doing your work, your good work.
You know, sometimes you got to get away from something to realize how much you appreciate it. And I found that out very, very early on, that I liked the demeanor, I liked the area, I liked the people, the camaraderie of the people back here. But I enjoyed the heck out of my military, even though it was only 4 years long. That was long enough for me to get indoctrinated to that lifestyle very quickly, because there is no, hey, I don't feel like getting up to go do what I need to do today. That's not a choice. 7 a.m., you know, whether you're sick, whether you don't feel well, whatever it is, you grow up very fast, especially if you come from a family or a background where accountability may not be your strong suit. That is my suggestion to anybody. If you're struggling with that, go check it out. The military is a wonderful place. You can get education, you can get experience, you can get travel, you can just learn a lot about who you are, especially for those people out there who aren't set. Some of us wake up and from the day you were born, you were going to be a doctor because your dad's a doctor, your grandfather was a doctor, or whatever, a dentist, a real estate agent, whatever it may be. That wasn't the case for me. So I just kind of gravitated towards whatever would give me more structure. That's what it ended up being. I was in the supply department. I was on an aircraft carrier for 4 years, 3.5 years. I went on 2 Westpacks. So I've been through Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, Korea, Australia, Hawaii. I loved it.
All by the age of
22.
Yeah.
By the age of 22 years old. And
what 18-year-old knows what they're going to go off to college and really, truly become? I mean, it's a small number. Yeah. Maybe there are some of those doctors, engineers, not real estate agents. No one dreams of being a real estate agent at the age of 15, but you know, here we are. Yeah. I love my work, but, what a great experience. What a great direction. What a great, So obviously, I feel like the military has provided you with a lot of structure, like you said, a lot of benefits.
Correct.
That have played into your life and your life since being in service and now being a civilian. And really, that's what I had you here today, is to talk about those veteran benefits, because I saw two stats I saw recently. Over 200,000 service members enter civilian life every year.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of people that have been, wandering the country, wandering the world on their aircraft carriers, on their ships, on their planes, serving our country. And now they're looking for a place to call home. That's a lot of people. The other stat I saw was that 7 out of 10 veterans don't understand the financial benefits that the VA can offer them in purchasing a house.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because I want to make sure that veterans out there do understand, especially in our local greater Fort Wayne community, what is possible for them, because the real estate market over the last 5 years has really scared a lot of people. It's really put a lot of people on the sidelines. If we can get some of those people, to begin inquiring about the possibility of owning a home and planning routes and starting the wealth building engine that is homeownership,
right,
I think that's a good use of our time today, don't you?
I love that. And since we're on the subject, what I will say is the fastest and easiest way for somebody like myself, who I am obviously a veteran advocate. We do some things with the VA. We just rolled out our Pumpkins for Patriots thing we do every year. But the fact that there's somebody like you and for those of you who don't know this guy, get to know him. Get to know the guy that actually cares enough to try to bring you value, to try to bring you education, because the people that know what they know and don't go outside that box scare me, right? And you're one of the few people that have reached out and say, hey, look, you're a veteran. Come talk to us about what veterans need, what benefits they are missing out on. So I appreciate you doing that, man.
Yeah, awesome.
As far as benefits that they don't know about,
right?
Boy, there's a laundry list, right?
Let's start with the big one.
Yep.
Is a veteran can purchase a home using a VA loan with 0% down.
Correct.
Zero money out of pocket, zero down payment. And I think a lot of people, home prices are what they are, interest rates are what they are, but the true biggest obstacle for most people buying a home is being able to build that nest egg, that large sum of money to use as a down payment.
Right.
And that being such a big misconception, I think might be limiting a lot of people in that opportunity, because they think they have to have this 20% of a home value saved to buy a home. A veteran doesn't. I bought my first home using a USDA loan. That's another program for more rural communities where you can buy a home with 0% down. I actually got a check for $1,400 at my closing.
Yeah.
Now, this was years ago, but I was scared to death about saving money to buy a home. And here I was able to buy a home, actually getting a check at the closing table.
Yeah.
So, that is just one of many examples of how a 0% down payment program can benefit you. So maybe maybe I covered it already, but like that is a big benefit. How many of your veterans are utilizing that full percentage, that full benefit? Are they still putting money down? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So let's do this. Let's digress a little bit. If I were gonna explain to you or ask you as a consumer or a real estate agent, if I said, hey, there's a loan program that does not have loan limits, AKA conventional loans up to X amount, then it becomes a jumbo loan, which is different requirements, things like that. And there's no income limit for it. There's no purchase price limit for it. They're the best interest rates on the market. It's a zero down loan, and there's no PMI. Why wouldn't people sell that loan?
Yeah. Tell me what bank's offering that, and I'll go sign up.
Exactly. Yeah. And the answer is all of them. They all offer it. The problem that we run into isn't necessarily that the veterans don't know. That's a huge problem. That's an educational piece that they push it on your way out the door of the military. Like, hey, make sure you get your DD 214 recorded downtown. Make sure you have extra copies, things like that. They push you to take advantage of your GI benefit. They push you to go to the medical to get if there's any service connection. But what they don't push is the VA home loan. At least they didn't do that 30 years ago when I was getting out. No, VA loans, in my opinion, are hands down the best loan product under the sun. Now and stick with me on this, because most of the time, if there's a property listed, if there's any concerns about the properties, the physical structure of the home, or there just any repairs that may need done, the first thing that a listing agent wants to do is say cash or conventional only. And that's not always the best way to go, right? You limit the opportunity for people to come in, especially veterans, when in reality, the requirements for a VA VA loan, almost all the guidelines that have ever been written are a ripoff of the VA guidelines. Conventional does this to this day. They watch the guidelines from the VA. They work very well. The programs have very low default rate, and conventional Fannie and Freddie, for those of you who aren't in the know, rip off a lot of those same guidelines. So the program itself, literally, you can go up to $1 million, $2 million. There's no money out of pocket. Zero down program. Now, don't confuse zero down loans with no closing costs prepaid.
Right.
Even though
or no income requirements. And you have to be able to 100%. Afford the home at the price that you'd be going to purchase.
100%.
But you don't have to, maybe have that, maybe there's a home that you want to put some money into, and you'd rather save that down payment money for putting a new roof on it, or upgrading the kitchen, or doing some of that fun money stuff that isn't necessarily a roof or windows or that type of thing. You touched a little bit on it. I feel like sometimes you and I, realtors and lenders, can get a little language tough with people, Fannie, Freddie, using terms that people don't typically know.
Right.
One of the things you said was the requirements of VA versus the requirements of, say, FHA or conventional or a cash purchase. Really maybe talk about what some of those requirements are for a VA loan, because I think as our market has been so competitive across the country since 2020, veterans have kind of been on the outside looking in of purchasing a home because of the perception of the requirements of a VA loan.
Sure.
There are a few extra check boxes to be made. There are a few extra hurdles for a home seller to go through. So if at all there's a negative, I would say maybe that's it, but maybe talk to those things that could be obstacles, but also they're still there as a protection and a benefit to the veteran as well.
I think the biggest, a great point, by the way, the biggest obstacle that we see, the misconception that the appraisers are harder on the property themselves. We typically don't see that, right? Any Govy loan, any loan with initials, FHA, VA, USDA, they're all very similar on the requirements for the property, right? If you have flaking paint, you're probably going to get that called out. That's not technically a VA guideline. If you have handrails for stairs 3 or more, you're going to have a safety issue. Anything that's a safety issue is going to be called out. The biggest misconception about VA ones, though, is the appraisers go out, they try to bust the deals up, and they're really hard on the properties. It's not necessarily the case. As a matter of fact, the same guys and gals that do our VA appraisals are the exact same people that do our FHAs, that do our conventional. Right. So they're the same people. The biggest difference,
they just got a little bit different report they're filling out.
They have a different report. And also, when there's a value concern, what the VA does, and now conventional just rolled this out, the first thing you'll get from a VA appraiser is what's called Tidewater. They'll send you an email saying, hey, Sam, see you got an offer on this property and it's listed at $300,000, purchase price is $295. Hey, can you help me understand where you got that value? And you get a chance to kind of rebuttal it before they do the report. Conventional FHA, USDA, you get the report. After that, then you try to send in some information or comps to support the value. VA, they call it out right in the beginning. So you get a chance to they ask you for help, so you get a chance to rebuttal that. So that's one of the beauties of a VA loan and the appraisers. The second thing is the actual biggest hurdle is a pest inspection. The only thing that a VA appraiser or their requirements are a pest inspection. I mean, there was a time when they couldn't pay the transaction fee.
Right.
It was on the buyer side. That it always had to come from the seller or the list agent. They couldn't charge that now. Now buyers agents can charge that to the VA buyers. There was that the pest inspection always comes up. Is this a big deal?
Right. Who pays for it which one of our inspection partners, Aardvark Home Inspectors, includes termite inspections with all of their inspections. So that's always like an obstacle that's just even completely taken off the table when you're using Aardvark for an inspection.
Shout out Joe. Good job, bro. Actually, you beat me too. I was going to say, a lot of those home inspections, they'll do the pest inspection right with it. And obviously, if there's a well, any Govy loan, anything with initials, you're going to have a water test, same as you're going to have with FHA, USDA. But I mean, in the big scheme of things, there is no program that's even close to that. Now, I think when people don't know about the product or they're uncomfortable with it, even for example, when I worked at the bank, we didn't sell USDA loans, so we always sold against, I don't know what the caveats are, and we just make it sound like this big mysterious.
Yeah.
when you don't know, right? A confused mind says no, you're not going to do something. But I think when people like yourself put out videos like this where we can educate people, and the biggest downside, if I were going to say, hey, let me hang my hat on something, the only true downside to a VA loan is the funding fee. So you have something called the VA funding fee, right? Which is basically the same thing that FHA has, which they charge you up front and then they charge you monthly to use the program. USDA, they charge you up front 0.35% plus they charge you monthly. VA charges you up front only. Now, the funding fee is a little higher unless you're service connected. So for me, I'm what's called 30% service connected, meaning I get paid from the military for a disability that's attached to my military career.
Gotcha.
Anybody that's out there that's 10% service connected or higher does not pay the funding fee. So literally no funding fee, zero down, better rate, no PMI, unlimited amount.
Well, and the funding fee too. I mean, whether you're doing VA or whether you're doing a conventional loan, I mean, there's a fee to financing.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, it's you're paying the piper, and for the service and for the product one way or another, too, right? So
yeah, and the biggest difference, really, the VA funding fee 1.75%. They charge it up front, right? And they have something called subsequent use. So the second time you use it, it goes up to 3.3. But if you put money down, you can actually the funding fee goes down based on everything in our world is based on risk, right? A 30-year fixed is worse than a 15, worse than a 10. 7-year arm, it gets lower and lower. So everything's based on risk. So if you put money down, then the funding fee goes down. So you could effectively put a little money down, 3%, 5%, 10%, whatever it might be, and buy down that or get rid of that funding fee or a portion of it. So the true negative of a VA loan, besides pest inspection, which is a nominal situation, is the funding fee. And if you like you've done the research, what you'll find is the majority of people getting out of the military now come out with some kind of service connection, which whether or not they go and they get it, they apply for the disability and they start getting paid using the VA. That's a whole nother video. Yeah. The VA loan is a beautiful product. I highly encourage it.
Yeah. We could dive really into the weeds of a lot of pieces of the VA loan program and stuff. But really what I want to cover today is just the availability of it, the accessibility of it, the benefit really that it is. So there is one of the first things, what would someone need to do to figure out if they qualify? I believe I saw there's like a certificate that you have to go through and apply for to find out if you're truly a viable candidate for a VA program.
Let's start. If you guys have a pen and paper out there, first thing, write down Scott Saylor. No, I'm just joking. But the biggest piece of that is you have what's called a DD 214. If you come to me as a veteran, when I'm talking to you on the phone, and if you're trying to gain confidence with a veteran, write these 4 or 5 terms down. DD 214, LES, right? Leave and earnings statement, right? Duty station. I mean, and then when you get into the certificate, you're talking about COE, certificate of eligibility.
There you go. Yeah.
Basically, all that is us pulling a digital piece of information that tells us you are now eligible. You've served 180 days active duty in a war, 90 days in a war zone, whatever that may be, or 6 years you've been on active duty as a guard or a reservist. But that's a point system where you send a piece of paper to the commanding officer, they allot your points. But as far as qualifying goes, now it's pretty minimal requirement as far as qualifying for the VA. Was that your question?
I had seen about that certificate of eligibility and how challenging maybe that was, because I wasn't certain what that process was or if it was much of an in-depth process. But really, there's pretty standardized things. If you meet these requirements, you'll get that certificate completed.
And it's all technology now. When you give us your SOCH, you have to have a DD 214. If you can't find that, we can even help you do that. You can log right into the government website.
Yeah, forgive my civilian just blinded face of when you reference that, because military terms just fly right over.
Well, here's
you say them so fast.
Here's something that if you think of the most niche people on earth, right? Whether it's an ethnicity, it's a union, it's military, it's whatever it may be, military people, and you don't have to even be a ex-military person or a veteran. As long as you kind of speak that language a little bit, vets will open up to you, man. They just want to know that you kind of speak that language, and once you kind of lay the groundwork, this is why any of our partners that we work with, I always tell them, if you can ask up front, hey, is there any military service? If there was military service in you or somebody very close to you, you've automatically endeared yourself to that group, right? And then if it's not them or their spouse or significant other, if it's a mom, if it's a dad, if it's a grandfather, because you're talking about that, even if you're not going to do a VA loan for them, now you've endeared yourself to that whole group.
Sure.
And I use this example: millionaires live next door to millionaires. Veterans, no veterans. That's just how we are. We go to Applebee's on Veterans Day. We get our free Mike's Car Wash on Lima Road right next to Applebee's.
There you go.
I get, and if I don't want to exaggerate it, every year when I go to Applebee's, I leave there with a deal.
Yeah.
I sat at the bar.
Yeah.
I'm not old enough to wear my Navy hat yet, but I'll put my, you got to be a certain age, right? But I put my military, I put my, U.S. pin on here, my veteran pin on here. When I sit at that bar, there is a common theme amongst everybody. They have the fallen soldier over there, the table for one. It's by itself. It's beautiful. They do a great job. And what do? We sit there and talk. We tell old war stories. And you hear across the bar, everybody's just talking military stuff. And it's a camaraderie that you just can't fake.
Yeah.
But if you, as an agent or as a whoever it is, if you want to endear yourself, that is such an amazing group of people, and it's underserved. So thanks again for doing this.
Well, you make the comment from our world of, you go sit at the bar and find all these people that you have connections to, tell the war stories and connect in that way. I'm not going to help every single person in Fort Wayne buy a house, and that's fine. But I'm here to meet people that I connect with and connect with me. And that's what these videos are all about, to try to be valuable, provide value so that I'm here and you're here and ready and willing and able to serve them when they're ready to take that step. And I tell you what, I don't do a ton of I maybe do a handful of veteran deals a year.
Yeah.
They're so rewarding because these stories are not just someone that's lived in Fort Wayne for the last 10 years and now is buying a house.
Right.
It's someone that's coming back to Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
That's been gone for 20 years serving their country and they've got a wife from Texas and they've got kids that have never lived within 30 minutes of grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And they're coming here. And this is a very specific story because I'm thinking of a client right now from this year.
Yeah.
But those are the people that, I want to make sure that if they're afraid of this step, if they're afraid of what's available to them, I want them to know that there are, this benefit is there for you. And maybe it makes sense to take advantage of the 0% down and the full array of the VA loan benefits. And maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's where a trusted partner like you helps us get guided in the right direction as well. And so, that's what we're here to accomplish today. That's what hopefully, the message gets across and, hopefully we reach some people and make a difference in their lives and their path to home ownership here in the near future.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I think if you just keep the conversation relevant, right? And for me, if you make it relevant to what the whether it's the agent, if it's the home seller, if it's the home buyer, if you make it relevant to their goals, right? Just going out and preaching about, hey, VA loans are wonderful,
right?
It doesn't impact as well as, hey, look, the buyers that you may not want to come through the home and write an offer, being a veteran, are your absolute best opportunity to maximize your capital, your gains on selling the home.
Right.
But it's also a chance to do something super cool. And taking a VA loan over an FHA USDA conventional, I don't know that there is a deciding factor that goes into that. But man, if you have a veteran selling a home, I can almost guarantee you without a doubt that guy or gal is more likely. And we've done a poll just for our own business. The likelihood that a veteran would have accepted a veteran offer is significantly higher. And they told us they would accept a lower offer had it been a veteran. So not only if you have the opportunity to represent a VA buyer, not only are you not exploring all the options, you're also missing the boat because a lot of people, even non-veteran people, would accept a VA loan or a VA offer from, a veteran, obviously, over a conventional or FHA. And then on the flip side of that, let's fast forward. Let's say you've been in your home 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. VA loans are assumable for non-veteran people. And most people don't realize that. So you can assume a low interest rate, no PMI loan, zero down product from a veteran, even though you're not a VA or a veteran, qualified buyer.
Yeah. So who knows where we're going to be in 20 years as far as interest rates go?
Yeah.
That could be a huge benefit.
Absolutely.
Because, I don't think anyone can project where interest rates are going to be in the next year, let alone in the next 20 years. Because, what a world we've been living in.
Yeah.
Well, I want to
lower.
Yeah. I want to try to keep this video as evergreen as possible. But, we've certainly since 2020 and here we are in 2024 have been living in quite a fierce competition real estate world. And sometimes those VA offers were set aside for, say, cash or what was viewed as stronger financing. I've also seen a lot of them, like you just said, where sellers appreciate that service member, appreciate that benefit that they're receiving, and would select those. But, going into, here we are at the end of 2024, going into 2025, we're in this environment where interest rates have been stubborn and volatile and higher for longer than expected. What I'm sensing in the market is that it's never been a better time right now over the last 4 years to negotiate your home sale or your home purchase price.
Sure.
And, as a veteran, to be able to use a 0% down home loan, to be able to negotiate seller concessions that are going to cover that lending fee, that closing costs, that money that you could have out of pocket.
Right.
I think there's a huge opportunity there for those types of people. Well, do you have anything you want to leave us with that we've skipped over or missed about the VA loan program that we need to make sure people know out there?
Sam, I would say the last thing that I would like to point out for those of you paying attention to that funding fee piece of that. So if you're buying let's say you're buying a $300,000 home and your funding fee is, let's say it's subsequent use, 3.3%, you're going to have basically a $9,000 to $10,000 fee. That is not out of pocket. That fee gets rolled on top of your loan.
There you go.
So
yeah,
again, it stays zero down. You can ask the seller for concessions.
So instead of a $300,000 loan balance, it's $309,000.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Yeah.
And for every $1,000 you guys put down on a house, it's about $6 a month based on today's rates.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so $9,000, $10,000 over. Okay, so it's $50 or $60 a month higher. That is still significantly lower than the PMI on any loan that you're going to get. Not to mention, VA goes down to 580, at least with us. There may be some caveats with that.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a 580 borrower out there who's buying a home. Conventional doesn't want anything to do with it,
mm-hmm.
right? The pricing would be so brutal on conventional. They would want nothing to do with it. So VA not only gives the buyer more options, it gives the seller more options too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, go Navy. I think VA loans are, in my opinion, one of the most underutilized tools that are out there. As far as getting the loan specifics and what you need to qualify, find a local professional like Sam, like myself. If we can't help you, one of the reasons I agreed to do this is Sam doesn't know this, but obviously knows. He works with one of my very good friends in-house. I love him to death. But Sam is probably one of the most honest and upfront people that you can ask for to be putting out a video like this that technically has no benefit for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about sharing the word of what's out there. I appreciate the heck out of that. So
that's awesome, Scott.
Appreciate
it, man. Appreciate it. Well, so in wrapping up and summarizing, the key benefits of the VA loan program, 0% down. I mean, not zero money out of pocket, but you're not having to take the time, energy, sacrifice to build that nest egg to be able to buy a home. You've mentioned it a few times. I think consumers get a little confused. No PMI. That stands for private mortgage insurance. And if you get a mortgage and don't put at least 20% down, you're going to pay an additional monthly premium on your loan that doesn't go to anything. It's an insurance. So with VA, you don't pay that at all. So you're actually getting a monthly savings on top of not putting any money down. You're also saving money every month by not having that additional private mortgage insurance to it as well. And then just lower lending requirements, lesser credit score requirements. You're still going to have income and debt requirements that you have to meet, but your overall interest rate and loan terms are going to be some of the strongest as far as loan products that you can find on the market. If you're a veteran, if you're a spouse of a veteran, a surviving spouse, if you have a connection to a veteran that you're just even wondering if it might be a product that you qualify for, it's worth reaching out and asking the questions. It's worth doing some discovery work because this could be a great avenue, a great path into the wealth generating machine of home ownership. So take the steps to explore. I think a great first step, you can run yourself ragged on Google and stuff. Maybe you found this video on the Google machine, but I think a great first step is finding local trusted experts, whether it's starting with a realtor like myself or starting with a loan officer like Scott, because we see things from both sides. We might not be an expert on both sides, but we can certainly help you take that next step to discovery, getting the right information in your hands, helping you build, the clarity you need to be confident consumers. And that's what, my content. That's what these videos are all about, is helping consumers find clarity so they can be confident making their decisions to buy a home.
Absolutely.
So, all right. That's awesome. Scott Saylor with Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Navy veteran. The football team didn't look so good the other week, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate it. Sam Hartman.
Good stuff. I've seen you, brother.
I keep it real, just keep it real.